All right, welcome in. I'm Blake. This is Dan with me, and we're gonna be jumping into an ESPN mock draft as we outline ways to win your office league. So
Yeah,
we're gonna be going through and as we're drafting, outlining some players, tips, and just pretty simple yet complex, probably to the people you're playing against, strategies, and yeah, show you how to win, basically win your league. So
yeah, and we're talking about like the typical, ESPN league that they ask you to join in your office wherever you work, and it's like so we're talking about like one quarterback, two running backs, two wide receivers, one flex spot, one tight end, one kicker, one defense, just like the typical league. So like no three wide receivers, like no two flex spots. I mean, we can talk about some of those scenarios as well, but we're just kind of focusing on like the typical like shallow league. So basically like a start seven, if in terms of like offensive players, not including like your kicker and defense. Yeah, so I mean it's a lot different than drafting in a league where it's like three wide receivers, multiple flex spots. So yeah, we're gonna cover all that, and yeah, we're gonna help you win your office league. So
so as we're waiting for the next 20 seconds for the draft to start, we have pick six, Dan,
yep.
and basically this gets into our first point. At pick six, we want, or in your early rounds, you want to push up running backs in these drafts.
Mhm.
A lot of really talented running backs go early, and your initial thought might be that zig when or whatever, others are zagging, but
Yeah.
honestly, there's such good wide receiver depth late. You want to get ahead at running back, and then you can make up for and catch up at receiver, no issue. So
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is, like in a league this shallow, you can only start a max of three receivers each week, including the flex.
yeah,
So by the end of the draft, you're going to have like tons of good receivers.
so we're up,
And
by
you're
the
not
way.
going to start these guys each week.
So we're up, and our receivers got sniped.
Oh, we got sniped
Oh,
on the
sorry, our
running back.
running backs got sniped. Yeah.
I mean, I'd almost go Gibbs here. I mean, I don't know. I mean, are we forced to take a receiver? I'd go Gibbs. Go Gibbs. Let's see how it
All right.
turns out.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll take.
Um, yeah. So, I mean, that might feel like a reach based on ADP, but like it really doesn't matter that much. I mean, like all I'm thinking is running back in the first round of a league like this. Because yeah, you're just gonna have like even if you kind of punt running back a little, or sorry, even if you punt receiver and don't like start drafting them until like round three, round four, you're still gonna end up with a ton of good ones. It's such a plentiful position, and you can only start a max of three each week, including the flex. So you really want to focus on like the scarcity of running backs. Um, and also another big thing is going to be going uh, drafting early tight end and quarterback because basically in a league that's shallow where it starts seven, your quarterback and tight end are going to make up a higher percentage of your starting lineup. Think of like, they're now like 2 out of 7 versus like 2 out of 9. So it becomes a lot more
Yeah.
important.
So you want to push the onesies up,
Yeah.
and rather than, even though Brock Purdy or Jordan Love might be a really good pick to you in round 9, 10, whatever, it's better to take Jalen Hurts in round 3 because he's a true difference maker, and there's going to be waiver wire quarterbacks that can put up with that, can compete and outscore Jordan Love on any given week, any given Sunday when you pick him up. So you
Yeah.
want to be elite at that in tight end. You do not want to fall behind in tight end in a league like this. If you're going up against Laporta or Kelsey and you have um, Pat Fryermuth as your tight end, I mean, you're just at such a disadvantage at those onesies positions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, if you have like, I mean, I love like Jared Goff
Yeah.
and like those pocket passers. Also, we're talking about 4 points per passing touchdown, so that really makes those quarterbacks with the rushing
Yeah.
upside an absolute necessity in a league
Yeah.
like that if you want to win.
Which is like good to bring up because most of your leagues like that, you're gonna be playing in, like, especially, yeah, if you're watching this and you don't really play fantasy or never played it before, especially, and you maybe just know some football. If it's 4 point passing touchdown, rush, like, it might not seem like a big difference from six for passing touchdown. It's a massive difference when people are throwing like 30 plus touchdowns, and yeah, you want to, get quarterbacks that can run. It's rule number one. As we're
Yeah.
coming to our second round pick here, My
And
favorite, I think Kyron is like just complete value. He is the top. He might get picked here.
yeah, I mean, I'm basically either thinking
Keep it.
running back,
Oh,
quarterback, or tight end in like rounds 2 and 3. Like, I'm not even like thinking about a receiver in a
yeah.
league like this. Just don't care.
We got Kyron here. Yeah. I mean, what we'll say is like we're trying out the Gibbs at pick 6 here. Now, if we will like I mean, I don't know. If I'm you can't go wrong if you still take your pick on Jefferson, Amon-Ra, and Chase. But the reason that we're taking Gibbs here is, I mean, especially it's almost an experiment while we're recording this, is to see how good we can build our wide receiver room at, like as we punt it, which is kind of the point we're going to be making throughout this
Yeah,
video. There's just so many talented receivers, and
yeah.
um, as we're punting receiver and not drafting it, there's so many good players, and we'll point some out certainly as we're going here.
Yeah, and yeah, if you're new to fantasy, I think you'll be surprised like how good our wide receiver room ends up being, even though we're probably not going to take one in the first 3 rounds.
Yeah,
And yeah, you only need to start 2 each week. You can only start a max of 3. So yeah, it doesn't do you a whole lot of good to have like all these like awesome receivers like on your bench. I mean, it's nice, but like we don't really need that many. We just
yeah,
need like a few good ones to
yeah.
start each week.
Another thing to point out, as we're saying, to draft quarterback early, don't draft quarterback in the first 2 rounds. If especially you're a 12-man league, like don't, or 10-man especially, just don't do that. Like my own piece of advice is Josh Allen's like the quarterback 1 in ADP. He's lost a lot of weapons. There's not really a supporting casting around him. I'm the Jalen Hurts guy. I mean, he's been just as good on a weekly basis, if not like more consistent somehow than Josh Allen. And he has a phenomenal cast around him. So like you can get Jalen Hurts like every time in round 3. So unless you're maybe playing it out of Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I disagree a little bit. I don't think it's crazy to take it quarterback like in round 2. Like for instance, I was helping my brother with a league kind of like in this type of format, and he had the 101. He went CMC, Jalen Hurts, Sam Laporta, and his
yeah,
team
but
turned out awesome.
that's
So
like the same thing as a third though. It's like that's the 212.
yeah,
You know what
I
I mean?
guess so.
So
I guess
it's not
so.
like it was like I'm talking like don't take one at like 202 and
Fair enough. Yeah,
like
yeah,
that's more so what I mean.
yeah. But I mean, at the turn, like late
Yeah.
second round, if you
Oh, 1
nothing wrong,
o'clock.
like a Jalen Hurts or
Yeah.
someone like that there.
So here we are with
Gonna go Hurts.
yeah. Like I Hurts is my
Yeah.
QB one here. So
I mean, that's just such an easy pick. I mean, in terms of like quarterback with rushing upside, who I just think is going to have a monster season. I mean, he's just like, I mean, what? I mean, at least what the
yeah,
past 2 row, he's been like what a top
yeah
2 basically.
yeah.
Uh,
Hurts. You're getting a bit of a discount on him. Basically, not as a QB1 because there's a little bit of a stink involved with how the end of the year last year they fired their offensive coordinator. They were injury plagued. Hurts himself was, but I mean, outside of that, like if you just go back and kind of refresh your mind of how dominant he was, he should not be going like he's someone you want to come out with your draft. I mean, this guy's been like a top 5 quarterback. It's like some ridiculous like 90% of the time. Maybe I'll put up some box scores on the screen here so you can see. But yeah, he's just absolutely dominant. That's my favorite quarterback to
yeah.
come out of the draft with, if not.
Oh
Anthony
yeah. I
Richardson.
mean, for an office league type of format, Jalen Hurts just fits it like a glove. I mean,
Yeah,
he's just like the guy you want, and like, yeah, end of round 2, round 3, just like grab him, set it and forget it. Just
yeah,
like put him in your starting lineup. And you don't need a backup quarterback. I mean,
yeah,
because usually these are like shallow rosters, shallow benches. So like you might only be doing what, like 14 rounds, 16 rounds, something like that. So it's like don't even bother with a backup at quarterback or tight end. Just get an elite quarterback, elite tight end. And one of the nice things about that is you have the luxury of not having to draft a backup because those guys are just going to dominate when it's their bye week. You pick someone off the waiver wire, and there'll probably be someone good because like in these shallow leagues, there are always good players on the waiver wire. And then you could take 2 extra shots at like running back or receiver and just trying to like get as many lottery tickets as possible there because that's where you want to look for that upside.
yeah. So one thing we should point out about quarterbacks while we're just on the topic, and then we can move on, is um, if you miss out on the elite quarterbacks, like the top 5 kind of guys. I mean, Anthony Richardson has been getting pushed up a lot. Like
Yeah.
he's a better pick, way better pick than CJ Stroud and these 4-point passing touchdowns.
Oh yeah,
You want to aim
100%.
for ceiling. Uh, and
Oh yeah, I mean, if I don't get Jalen Hurts, like
yeah,
I start thinking about you know Lamar Jackson, but obviously like everyone knows
yeah,
him, so maybe he goes earlier. So like Anthony Richardson is the guy where it's like you might be able to steal him at a value because like maybe the casuals in your office don't even really like know who that is.
yeah. You probably get him behind ADP.
Right.
By the way, we're about to be up. So do you want to
If
just take
Laporta's
Laporta
there, I
going?
mean that's a
Yeah,
slam dunk. I
yeah,
mean, I guess you could consider Kelsey, but just give me
yeah.
the guy like in his prime, on the ascent. I mean, I think he's going to be even better this year. Everyone's saying touchdown regression. I think he's going to score more touchdowns this year.
Yeah. I actually just started a draft like this. Like, I did actually take AJ Brown because there's no running back available in the first
Fair
round,
enough. Yeah.
and then I came back around 3 and 4 and went Hurts and Laporta, and I couldn't believe they were still up there. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna have them here. So,
Oh,
um,
awesome. I mean, this is a dream start for
yeah.
this type of format.
Oh,
Absolute dream.
one thing I really want to outline, if you're watching this video, and especially don't be of the mindset where if you're thinking like I'm not gonna touch Anthony Richardson. What if he gets hurt? As we mentioned, like it is not hard to replace a quarterback at all off the waiver wire.
Right.
The advantage of quarterback is that you bet on like the 2019 Lamar Jackson season. Like if you get that guy in your lineup, like you probably have. I mean, you basically have like a 50% chance, if not higher, to make your the finals of your league and probably win. If you own that player in the season, and that's the stuff you want to be aiming for. Is you don't want to draft. Oh, I know Joe Burrow, he's safe. Like you don't want to be going for that. You want to be shooting for the ceiling. If Richardson gets hurt, so be it. Go pick up another guy off the waiver wire. Like there's plenty of like decent quarterbacks available that you can get by with. You should be like again just shooting for the stars.
Yeah, absolutely,
And stuff like
100%.
that. So
And yeah, I mean, from this point, what I would say here, I mean, now my mind starts to shift toward like let's just start like
yeah,
hammering wide receiver. But also at the same time, you don't want to get like locked in too much with like tunnel vision. You want to be open to taking like value at like running back if it falls. I mean, obviously we're done at quarterback and tight end, so like we don't even need to consider
yeah.
that. But yeah, I mean, we can still take running backs though. So if like one falls at a value, like don't be afraid to take one. But kind of like the default selection in every round here is kind of like when in doubt, like just like start hammering wide receivers because we got our two stud running backs, we got our stud quarterback and tight end. Now we can just start like making up for the fact that we punted wide receiver early and we just start like hammering wide receiver in like every round just about unless some really unexpected value falls at running back.
So we're up here. I mean, honestly, because like the values on players later, like probably Amari Cooper's at the top of my board.
Yeah.
I know that people might like Higgins or Pickens more, but I like going for these second year guys more later, and so Cooper feels like the.
Yeah, I like Cooper. I mean, the
Anybody
only
else
thought
you
is
get
like,
more?
do we go Rice and then Cooper? Like, could we get both? But go
I think
Cooper.
I think we gotta take Cooper first.
I think that's safer. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, Cooper's been like, I can't believe how late Amari Cooper's going. I mean, like you're basically getting what feels like. Should he be again like a wide receiver one? I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's so many good ones, of course, but like he's just such a good,
yeah.
consistent wide receiver to own in fantasy.
People
I
get
think I
bored
got him
of.
in like round like 6 in my like redraft home league. I mean, it was insane. I was
Yeah.
thrilled. So
Yeah, people get bored of scoring a lot of fantasy points, and
right, yeah,
again, like,
exactly.
out with the old, in with the new. But
Yeah.
um, one of our favorite targets, it looks like maybe he's getting completely pushed up on the ranking, is
Mhm.
Deontay Johnson, who
Yeah.
originally it was much lower, and it looks like he's been skyrocketing. And honestly,
Well,
he's one of the better picks, in our
well, I
opinions.
mean, clearly people are watching our bold predictions video. So,
Yeah, yeah,
what do you expect? He's skyrocketing up now.
yeah, and we'll see who comes back around to us. But Rashee Rice is another name that he fits this bill. Important to bring up is these second year receivers. I mean, especially if you get one attached to Patrick Mahomes, these guys often outdo their ADP. He
Yeah,
would be
exactly.
probably going. I mean, he was going like 30 picks higher before the suspension risk and stuff. It doesn't look like he's getting suspended, so it looks like just a massive discount on Rashee Rice, which
Right.
is
And I think
awesome.
like that's one of the cheat codes to like catching up at wide receiver here is grab a bunch of these second year guys that could like make a leap this season.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't know. Deontay Johnson's might be too good to pass up. What do you
I,
think?
I'm torn on this one. This is like I don't think you can go wrong. Oh boy, what do you think? I'll give this a
Deontay
guess.
Johnson's the wide receiver one on his
Yeah,
team. Go Deontay.
we'll
Yeah.
go that, but
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, when in doubt, I'd rather get the wide receiver one. Yeah, I mean it's tempting to get the guy in the good offense, but I do think the
Well,
Panthers are going to be a better offense. But what I like about this is we have like two rock
yeah,
solid wide receivers that we can feel amazing about starting every week in Amari Cooper and
yeah,
Deontay Johnson. And then with our next
that's right.
selections, we can
Yeah,
start shooting more for that upside by getting those like second year wide receiver breakout
yeah,
candidates. So guys
good,
like Ricky
yeah.
Rice, Jackson Smith
JSN,
and
yeah,
Jigba, Jordan Addison, and
Jaden
then even
Reeds,
and then yeah, Jaden Reed, absolutely. And then you
even
also
Xavier
start to
Worthy.
count rookies like
Yeah,
Xavier Worthy, Roma Dunze, Lad McConkey, Brian Thomas. I mean, so many great options there. So this is just like such a great sweet spot in the draft to just start like hammering wide receiver. You can get some of that security with guys like Cooper and Deontay,
yeah,
and then you get some of that like upside with like the second year wide receivers and the rookies. So I mean,
yeah.
we're gonna catch up fast at wide receiver here.
Great call on Deontay Johnson. As Rice goes out the board because although I think Rasheed Rice is a great value, so is
Yeah,
Deontay Johnson, and
yeah,
it's much easier to find a Rasheed Rice kind of replacement, same type of bet player, and again, like literally worthy on the same offense later.
right.
Where it's a little more difficult to find someone that you feel is the wide receiver one for a team and actually like has a chance of completely
Exactly.
busting
I mean,
your
Rasheed
ADP. So
Rice is just feels like could be a little more like uncertain in terms of what you're getting week to week. Whereas with Deontay, I just lock him into my
good.
lineup, and I know I'm getting like really good points every single week, and I don't have to
Yeah.
like worry about
Yeah,
it.
and again, yeah, in this build, we're behind on 80 receivers technically
Yeah.
with our draft strategy. It's a little better to go the safer way
Yeah.
and then shoot for upside later.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Because of the way we built it, I don't mind going a little bit more for safety with the first two. But now at this point, it's just all upside. Like
Yeah.
I don't care about any floor or safety. Just like give me the guy with the most upside.
So we're up. I'm gonna check running back quick. Oh, David Montgomery there. Do you want to? Who
I
do you
mean,
want?
Montgomery's tempting, but I don't know if we want to handcuff him with Gibbs. Although I mean,
I
I
think
don't.
we can. I think we can make up at running back for fine after, and we already got
Okay, let's
Gibbs.
hit wide receiver because I think
Yeah.
that'll drive home the point
Do
more.
you
Why don't you
like?
go
I would go Reed or Worthy. Worthy. Yeah.
Go Worthy.
And I was like, because we passed up on Rice, it feels good to
Yeah, it
at
feels
least
good to get a
one of the
cheap.
KC.
Like, I mean, yeah, I mean, you really want to have ideally players and wide receivers on really great offenses. So obviously, like the Panthers and Browns aren't like the greatest offenses in the world, but you know, Deontay and Amari Cooper are just
Yeah,
such slam dunk,
yeah,
consistent, productive wide receivers that, it was fine to take them out in like suspect offenses, but like now we can kind of like swing for that upside and get some guys on some really good offenses. And yeah, I mean, Xavier Worthy, I mean, the hype's out of control on him. He definitely wasn't going to last another round. So yeah, I mean, I feel great about grabbing him there. And I still think we'll get like another good guy in our next pick here.
So we're up right now. Ladd, Addison, Brian Thomas, probably the top
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, those three stand out.
If we're saying like half PPR, I mean, for me, I'd go then to Addison and Thomas, just simply because
Okay.
the touchdown stuff up.
Yeah, that's fine.
Honestly, I like this Brian Thomas bet better
Yeah, go.
just because he could be the wide receiver one and has a great
Beautiful.
quarterback.
Yeah, great call. Yeah, that's kind of the way I was leaning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if Addison was like our first or wide receiver one or two on our team, then it's like, okay, that feels safer.
Yeah.
But yeah, given now that Brian Thomas is our wide receiver four, just go purely for upside.
Yeah.
Could be the wide receiver one on the Jags attached to Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
A huge upside there. So yeah, I think that's a great call for the tiebreaker there.
Let's take a look at running back. This is why I wasn't too worried about getting our third running back. I mean, just point out some names still available.
Oh yeah, Mostert. Oh my God, I would love him in a league like this.
Yeah. And just to point out while we're here, the greatest handcuff potentially better than Corum. Could be Jalen Wright.
Oh yeah,
rookie for the Dolphins. And if you draft Mostert or Chain, you should
Yeah.
come out of your draft no matter what with Wright. He's a handcuff for both guys.
yeah, and
extremely
even
athletic.
if you don't own Chain or
Yeah.
Mostert, just draft Jalen Wright no matter what. That
Yeah.
should be one of
Yeah, it should be like write it down.
He's the guy you just want like in every fantasy draft, no matter what the format
Yeah.
is, pretty much.
And the good thing is, if you're in an office league, your league mates probably don't know who Jalen Wright is.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
they'll find out pretty soon.
So yeah, you don't have to reach for him. You can probably like get him behind ADP, let him fall a little bit.
So do we want? Yeah, I
Let's go
like
Mostert
Mostert here.
because
Yeah,
like I want to be
that's an easy
stacked.
click.
I want to be stacked at running back because yeah, I think you
Yeah,
mentioned for this like kind of imaginary league that we're mocking here. It's a half PPR league we're saying. So in a half PPR, basically like the lower the PPR is, so if you're going from like full down to like half or zero PPR, the less PPR it is, the more important running backs become, and the more important touchdowns become
yeah,
because when you have like a bigger PPR element, that can really kind of it makes up a higher percentage of your points, like all the catches that your players are getting. But when you take that away, now those touchdowns that are worth 6 fantasy points, they become a greater percentage of a player's like
yeah.
fantasy points. So
Oh,
they
we're
become
up.
a lot more significant. And I mean, Mostert scored like what, like 20 touchdowns last year.
Yeah, we're up on the clock here. By the way, I didn't even
Yeah.
realize.
Oh yeah, dude. Okay.
Let's just
Sorry,
have to take a running back here, and I don't know. I
Ty
mean,
Chandler.
sure, yeah, let's go Chandler. I mean,
Chandler.
Gus is
Okay, sorry.
interesting,
Yeah,
but
no,
there
sorry. That was
are
my bad. It's kind of a panic pick there.
some
Maybe
other.
if
That's fine. Yeah,
we had been more on top of things, we could have made a better pick
yeah.
there. But actually, I like Ty Chandler a lot, though. I mean,
He,
Aaron Jones is injury prone. I mean,
he's one of
Vikings.
2 Vikings running backs right now, by the way.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, I think the Vikings should hopefully be a solid offense. I mean, obviously, sucks that they lose JJ McCarthy for a year, but I mean, who knows? Like maybe Sam Darnold can kind of resurrect himself, or I don't know. But like, I mean, the Vikings are always going to have
Yeah,
like a pretty good offense, so like,
yeah.
I'm not too worried about that.
People are, of course, they hear Sam Darnold as a quarterback, and it is a little worrisome as a Vikings fan. But one thing, if you're not familiar with Kevin O'Connell, I mean, this guy loves to air it out. His offense to air it out. Yeah, Nick Mullins was thrown for 400 yards on your Lions twice last year, Dan, and
Right?
I,
Yeah,
I mean
exactly.
this
Thank you for that.
this is a system where just about anyone can come in
Yeah,
and just
the
air it
Vikings
out.
are just
So
always going to put up a lot of yards.
they always have good fantasy players.
Yeah,
It seems
exactly.
so.
Yeah, I just feel like Vikings are one of the most like
Yeah,
fantasy friendly teams over the years. So
yeah,
yeah, give me an explosive
yeah.
young running back who is gonna like be at least part of like a close to a 50-50 committee. And then if Aaron Jones gets hurt, like he could be kind of a workhorse. So I actually don't mind that Ty Chandler pick at all.
Yeah, yeah. So we are on the clock, and
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
wide receivers pretty much dried up at this point,
yeah.
or what's some,
It's like dried up, but there's a lot of like same looking. Oh wait, this is quarterback. There's nothing really to like pick from there. I
okay.
mean, we could like our pick doesn't actually really matter as far as our draft. Now we
I
can
mean,
kind of like
we could wait one more round on Jalen Wright. Do you want to go Marshawn Lloyd or
I was gonna say if you want like just to point him out again, we don't like our final product. I don't care too much about. I was just gonna point out Chuba Hubbard and a guy that we didn't touch on earlier, but Jerome Ford.
yeah,
Just as like guys, if you get behind on the running back position or just need something in your flex, Ford and Hubbard are like
yeah,
probably the 2 guys that you can get in double digit rounds, and
right.
they're gonna be the workhorse for their team due to injuries in the backfield.
Well, early in the season.
Exactly. Yeah. Early in the
Yeah,
season. So
early in the season.
if
Yeah, so if you need some like early season production, those are good guys to
yeah,
grab. It probably doesn't fit this build, so probably a better pick for this build
yeah,
would be
it's
the upside of someone like Marshawn Lloyd or Ray Davis, like a rookie running back with some, explosive talent
oh,
and upside for like later in the season.
yeah. We're getting autoed and like our actual draft at this point. I'm not too. But we just went ahead and selected
Jalen
Jalen
Wright.
Wright here.
Oh yeah.
Just like yeah, I'm probably gonna come out of this guy with every draft.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely, 100%.
yeah,
And yeah, at a certain point, like we got 5 receivers. I mean, yeah, we could probably use like one more, maybe a couple more. But like at a certain point, like if wide receiver just starts to feel ugly, then just load up on some like late running backs
yeah,
with upside. They're a lot more likely to break out than like the late round wide receivers
yeah,
because like wide receivers have to be like talented to earn targets, whereas like a running back, like you could just get thrust into the starting role due to injury and you don't even have to be like that good. But if you get the touches, like you're going to produce some fantasy points.
yeah. You know what? Pick 148. My guy here, Josh
Oh, Josh
Palmer.
Palmer.
Also
Okay.
Romeo Dobbs. Interesting. Just for whatever.
Well,
Like
what
if
about
you're
Wicks? Why don't you
disappointed.
just like swing for the upside of Wicks, or you could talk me into Dobbs.
I
Like,
would rather Dobbs still.
okay, go with Dobbs. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you
Well,
could
we're
probably.
not up, but yeah, I think like yeah, if you're getting into the 150s and you can make a bet on this Packer, I know the Wicks and we've if
And we talked about that a
There's a
ton.
lot
Yeah.
of like I'm still gonna be on team Dobbs or anyone else over
Well, yeah. I
Wicks,
mean,
but
honestly, like take Dobbs first in your draft,
yeah,
and then Wicks is probably there in the next round. You could
yeah.
grab both of them. You know, I mean, I think
Wicks,
both have
yeah,
upside.
certainly if you have a little bit deeper of like a bench or anything or draft,
Yeah.
Wicks is like probably gonna be there in the last rounds, and he's gonna be a great pick as well. But I'll take Dobbs, who sounds as
Yeah,
right now
but
like
yeah, but
a top
definitely,
receiver.
you look out for Wicks at like late in your drafts. If you just kind of like, if you kind of punted receiver early, like we're advising, and you're just looking for some like late upside to put on the end of your bench, like Dontavian Wicks is your guy.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know if there's a way to like pull up our roster a little bit better, but
It shows it again, but
let's forget the you know I guess is there anything we want to mention about kicker and defense? I don't know if we have any
I
advice
mean,
on
just
that.
just like don't take them before the last round. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, unless you're in some like wild format where you're getting like 6 points for field goals or or I mean, your league better than we know it obviously. So like if if you've been in this league before and you know that like defenses like score a ton of points in your league or whatever, then okay, like use your judgment on that. But if it's just like a standard league, like you can stream defense and kicker every week, and
yeah,
by that we just mean like grab someone off of waivers this
yeah.
week, whoever's hot, whoever has a good matchup. So don't worry about it. Just take
There,
I usually take defense in the second to last round, and I take kicker in the last
yeah,
round.
like
So
there's gonna be 20 kickers and defenses like available, and I mean maybe someone will have like two rostered, but I mean that's gonna leave better players in the waiver wire for you.
yeah,
And yeah, don't just go out and draft Justin Tucker, please. Sure he's good,
yeah.
but like Justin
Don't be the
Tucker's
guy.
like
There's gonna be someone in your office
he's
who drafts like the 49er
dude.
defense in like round 7. Like don't be
Yeah,
that guy. It
it's like the
doesn't matter.
biggest myth in all of fantasy. Sure, if you hit on the kicker, but it's not just as simple as like I'm gonna draft Justin Tucker before all my league mates, and he's gonna be like, this big event. It's not true. In fact, actually, one kicker. I got one kicker for you, Brandon Aubrey in the Cowboys offense was
Oh yeah,
actually phenomenal last year, and he was not missing any kicks. So I think if any of there's a kicker you want, it would probably be him.
yeah,
So
and try to get a kicker on a good offense. Like I really like Kimmy Fairbairn of the Texans. I mean, they're going to score points, and they
yeah,
also play like in Houston, like warm weather. I think they're indoors. I don't know, maybe a retractable roof, but either way.
here's one other thing though. You want it on a good offense, but if you're a little more looking into football, yeah, maybe some ball number. Like you don't want it on a good offense where like the Eagles or like probably like Colts or something where they're just like they're gonna go for it every fourth down. The
Oh
Lions,
yeah, yeah.
like you
Avoid
could
avoid the
avoid
kicker on
Lions,
the Detroit
Eagles.
Lions because
Yeah,
like Dan Campbell is always going to go for it like
don't
half the
yeah.
time. So
Yeah, I mean, if you've been playing a little bit of fantasy or watch some NFL, you like try to avoid the teams that go for a lot of fourth. Yeah, defense. There's a bunch of good defenses. I'm not gonna really touch on that.
yeah.
But
And yeah, I mean that pretty much wraps up the mock draft. Yeah, I mean let's look at the team. So
let's review it here. Yeah, so we'll go bottom down from the kind of like the roster here. We got our elite quarterback. Kind of what I personally think. I don't know about you, Dan, but like I think Hurts is gonna be the QB1 this year.
I agree. Yeah,
So
I mean,
most
in
likely.
my home league, I took him as the first quarterback off the board
Yeah.
over Mahomes, over Josh Allen, and I did it with confidence. So
Yeah, I my only draft I've done so far as my drafts are coming up this weekend. I went ahead and got Hurts, and I was very happy to do so as like the fourth quarterback off. I mean, I couldn't have been happier.
mm,
We go ahead. We reached on Gibbs and then going Kyron Williams. So like, I mean, pretty stacked running back room to start out.
oh,
And
absolutely. I mean, I'm feeling fantastic about that. I mean, obviously, like it only feels like a reach because of like I guess like we kind of get caught in like the ADP game, and also like Gibbs is as like a the hamstring injury, but so it creates a little risk there. But like honestly, like I don't mind swinging for that. I mean, in a league this shallow where you're just like going for the upside and you're pushing up those running backs, that really doesn't feel like a reach to me. I mean, like think about like what the ADP is going to be next year. I mean, if Gibbs has like a monster second year breakout season, I mean, Gibbs is going to be like a top 5 pick next year. And, when you look back, it's not going to feel like a reach that you took him at 6. So I feel great about that
yeah,
personally.
once you're on the draft, anyways, your ADP and where you picked them. I mean, week one, at 10 p.m. It's all changed. Nothing of it matters.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah. You're going to forget about that real quickly. So just take the best guy for the type of league that you're playing in.
yeah, and then Kyron Williams, like, I mean, honestly, I'm thinking this is the guy where honestly, for obviously, I don't know if like they'll like him more or less, but a lot of people are pretty skeptical of Kyron making him drop. I think it's a great pick if you can get him in anywhere in the second round, no brainer, and just like a perfect RB2 for this build.
Yeah, and the Rams typically like to just feature one running back, and they're a great offense. So it's like, if there's even like a pretty good chance that like Kyron Williams is like the workhorse there, like you're gonna be a happy guy having Kyron Williams on
Yeah,
your team.
yeah, exactly. He was CMC late last year, so
Oh yeah, yeah, second in fantasy points per game, just behind CMC. Like
yeah,
he's a stud.
yeah. And then so we play a little bit catch up with Cooper and Deontay Johnson. Great values for like the one receiver 1 and 2 in rounds five
Oh
and
yeah,
six. We got our elite onesie Laporta in round 4. I
yep.
mean that feels like a no brainer in this format. And
Oh
then
yeah.
we take 2 shots at first round rookie receivers in good offenses attached to really good quarterbacks. Um,
Yeah, and Xavier
yeah,
Worthy and Brian Thomas.
yeah. One thing
The
to point
upside.
out: Worthy's in our flex. We draft him higher than like say Mostert or Hubbard or whatever.
Yeah,
But
but honestly, yeah, week one, you're
we're gonna be
probably putting
starting.
in your flex spot. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I feel great about that. Like Mostert's an
yeah,
amazing flex week one.
exactly. Yeah, like Mostert, even potentially just Hubbard being a workhorse week 1.
Oh,
Like
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Hubbard would be a great flex play as well. So,
exactly, and then the hope is Worthy is soon to be like a dominant breakout player
oh yeah,
like
exactly. I mean, yeah,
Thomas.
you're drafting Worthy for his upside as the season goes along. Like you're
Yeah,
not if you don't need to start him in week one.
yeah, and then we kind of went through. We took our shots. Come out of the draft with Jalen Wright is basically all we need to say there.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely. And yeah, took an upside shot on like Ty Chandler and
yeah, some running
yeah, just
backs.
kind of like receiver dried up. So we kind of started just like get picking up the value of running backs.
Yeah,
But yeah, we threw a few upside or at least one upside receiver at the end with Romeo Dobbs. We also consider Dontavian Wicks.
yeah,
And then yeah, just grab your defensive
yeah,
kicker at the if the office league you're in is like a little different, like if it has like 3 wide receiver slots in the starting lineup and like let's say like 2 or 3 flex spots, something like that. I mean, basically, like the more offensive players that you need to start each week, then in that type of format, you wouldn't like push up running back quite as much.
yeah,
That type of league, you could like focus more on like wide
yeah,
receiver early.
yeah,
You could like consider like a 0 running back build, where you just like hammer wide receiver early, and then like take a bunch of like shots at like upside running backs late to kind of like fill out your lineup.
yeah,
Because yeah, no, especially if it's full PPR league. So
yeah.
so definitely like know the scoring rules and like the settings, the format of your league. And yeah, if you have any questions about that, feel free to leave a comment. Just let us know like what kind of league you're in, and yeah, we'll answer any questions about that. But yeah, really the focus of this is just kind of like the typical league, like start 7,
Yeah.
half PPR, like you're playing with like the casuals in your office that don't know everything about football and fantasy and everything like that. But yeah, if you follow what we suggest in this video, you'll have a good chance to win your league.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And yeah, one thing I was just along with your mention of the roster size, if you are playing a larger roster, then quarterbacks and tight ends also become less valuable
Oh
for
yeah,
starting lineup. So you
absolutely.
can start to push them down a bit more. But yeah,
Yeah,
if
and
not,
certainly if it's and even more so if it's like 6 points per
exactly.
passing touchdowns, then you're fine. You could just like
Then you can
grab
take
like
your love
Jared
and
Goff late,
yeah,
Stafford, like Cousins, like guys like that.
exactly.
And yeah, even with like tight end because like um yeah, just if
They
it's
just have a less of an
starting
impact
more.
on your so
Yeah, exactly.
just be aware of the settings is basically what we're saying, and that's how you would attack your different roster sizes. You're probably playing in like a start 7 or 8 though, which positional players like we've pointed out.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, so I think that covers it. Like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. And yeah, let us know if there are any other videos that you want to see like before the start of the season. Definitely trying to put out more, help you guys like prepare for your office leagues, your home leagues, whatever kind of leagues you play in. And yeah, I think we'll be live streaming probably more as we're getting closer and closer to the season. So hit the notification bell if you want to be alerted when we go live, and we will see you in the next one.
yeah. Thanks for watching.